I like that one. Toss it up. Those sound pretty good. Coming through the headphones.
We are live today. It is Friday on the Tossing Salad Podcast Live. We have our friend back, Mr. Greg Isenhower, and we're doing a little sampling of some potential intro, outro, basically show music for the Tossing Salad Podcast. Greg was up burning the midnight oil, I think, and I get a message. I was in the middle of a live last night, Greg.
I know. I thought about that. I was like, "Whoops!"
And all I see the excitement in the text messages that you had been working on a couple of potential songs. So this is one of them. Now, you have it labeled as "Toss It Up 100" and "Toss It Up." Is there a specific name you're going to give to either one of these?
No, the first one. I think I did this one first, and I had to find the tempo of your original song. So I was listening to your original intro, going, okay, I think it sounded like it was in that 100.
Toss it up. So this is the original.
So I was just bouncing my head to it.
Toss it up. This is the one that I really think people don't like. Toss it up. But again, the budget is limited here on the Tossing Salad Podcast, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I spent way more time than I should with your host, Brian.
Yeah, we got to get that part in.
So I'm going to have to dub, and I love both of these. So we listened to the first one, which kind of has I think it kind of has that a touch of like the R&B feel to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was trying to get a similar beat.
Bit.
Yeah. I was trying with this one to sort of replicate what you had, like to a degree, like try to bring that same vibe to it. But then I got this idea of like, what if I flip it and it make it like a metal song, you know? And so that's why there's the two. They're both 100 BPMs. I just don't have them named right yet. If we want, like.
The fact that you identified it as 100 BPMs, like you
don't even know what that means.
I just randomly picked something and I was playing around, I think in GarageBand or something.
Right.
And when you said, "Oh, I determined 100 beats per minute or something," and I tried to go with that vibe, and I was like, "You're already like 5 levels ahead of me." So there's that one. Let's listen to the other.
This is me playing drums too, so I was still so I had to do a ton of takes to get it right, and the vocals are me too. There's a change here. I love the double time at the end, and I just do the hype thing over it.
I love both of them, and on that one there, I get a little hairband.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like, I don't know what, like a Slayer or something, or Megadeth. I don't know, but just, I love both of them. And after I listen to both, I'm walking around the house. I'm like, I can see either one being the intro to Tossing Salad, and then I can see either one being the outro.
Like the outro. Yeah, that's a good point. That'd be fun.
And that's like, all stuff that's going to be fun to play with. And I was so stoked that you did that for me.
I love it. It's fun to do stuff like that. I had a blast with it, and it's unlimited, man. When it's at your fingertips, you know, there's that's what's fun. I was telling you, it's like a template. You can be like, yeah, I like this, but you could be like, oh, I want to tweak that. That's what's fun about. I tried to make it as good as I could, but there's definitely still stuff we can mess with.
And I like the fact that on this one here, that you're actually playing, like you're playing the drums, you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I found the guitar. That's a sample. Yeah, it's a guitar sample with me playing drums over it. I feel a little bit like, anybody seen Wayne's World? Remember when Wayne didn't show up for the TV show? Garth kind of freaked out. There he is.
Well, sorry about that. You keep everybody busy while I frantically... Hold on. I love that you had the wherewithal to hold the show up while I panicked because I mishit. I had a window pop up and I'm like trying to get it out, and then I freaked out and just closed out of everything, I think.
I know, those Pornhub things, man, they just don't go away. It's so frustrating. But no, I was saying I had a click track for the 100, because that's what drummers work off click track. A lot of musicians actually work off click track. So like you find a tempo is a big part of writing music. And for me, when I do stuff, it's all tempo based. I'll like be in the car, hear a song, and I'm like, oh, I like those drums, because I could almost like rip a drum beat off any song and record it, and then guys that can play instruments could play over it and be a completely different song. So sometimes I get ideas by hearing something. But so I had the 100. I knew we were at 100 BPM, and I wanted something like that. So I was like, I just played over it, and then that was a guitar and bass sample that I found. They just have these loops in Pro Logic that I work in, which is like the professional grade of GarageBand, basically.
Right.
And I mean, it's a full-blown recording, it's a full-blown recording suite. I mean, there's a lot of albums being made off Logic. So, but yeah, they have like 300,000 samples or something. So I was just kind of trying to find the guitar thing out. When I heard that guitar, like, oh, I really like how that sounds. And then I could hear the drums. And so I put the drums over it and did some vocals. The other one's all samples, same process, but I just found I found a cool drum beat that I liked.
But that's a random Thursday. I mean, what walk me through this brain decision at the point to where you're sitting there and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go work on some music for the Tossing Salad podcast in the middle of your day at night.
No, this was at night. Yeah, I had some time last night. My wife wasn't feeling well. She's kind of, laying down. She's fighting off a migraine. So she went up to bed. And so I was like, grabbed a cocktail and came downstairs. I had started the one the night before. So I'd already kind of started the hip hop one, that R&B one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I want to try to see if I can replicate what you had, just try to get close. So I played with that one but then changed it. And then after that's what gave me the idea. I was like, I need to try a harder version one, see if I can do something fun on the drums and get you like a rock and roll one. Because we talked about, you like the zombie intro to like Stir, and I was just trying to give you some options. Well, I love playing with samples and stuff. I love that. That's where the arrangement stuff comes in, because there's so much you can do. You can mute in things and take stuff out. I mean, there's a lot you can still do. Even
you're my Glenn Johns. I feel like I'm John and Paul in the studio, and you're crafting. You're my director, telling me
that's right.
Here's what we need to do. You're pushing me.
I like it. I have this down here, and it's like, so I'm not playing in a band right now that's creating our own music. And so there's that, I was telling you the other day, it's just, that little piece is lacking of my life. And so it's fun to come down and mess with stuff that you're going to use. I mean, it's hard as a drummer sometimes too, because I can't finish a song a lot of times. Like I can't play guitar through a whole song. I can't play keys through it. It's like, but I have stuff I want to make, right? And when because you just start layering. It's like making a sandwich. Or I was trying to think of a good analogy the other day. I thought about it being a taco.
Right. Like
the taco, the shell is like your drum beat or your tempo, right? And then everything else you can just start. You can put stuff on, take stuff off. Like, it's a lot of fun to play with.
Greg is famous for his analogies.
Yeah, I love the Glenn Johns that you said 1,000 people like that or something.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, and it's random on the bits and pieces of content that we will chop up from a larger content from the podcast or a long form live. You chop it up and then you throw it out there to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and it's never one piece that does well on all of them. It's a spinning of the wheel, and one piece will do well on TikTok, and the next piece you put up there is going to do well on YouTube, and then another one will do great on Instagram. There are very often to where they'll do nothing on all of them at the same time, but I've never had it to where I've done well on all of them. Right. But for me, I try not to look at the individual. I look at the collective, just as feedback, just to see, okay, am I hitting the right tones, or people, when they see it, are they kind of liking it or not? And, that's part of the, as far as being a creator, and you're kind of in the same situation, being with a band, you're creating music and stuff, you're trying to get the energy from the crowd maybe. So
it's fun when we've when Glitter Trip released, I've released a couple songs out into the wild, like with you put them on Bandcamp or Spotify. Just there's a handful of sites you can put music on, and it tells you like where it's been listened to, and that's kind of funny sometimes to see like some random person in like Brazil listen to your song, and you're just like, well, that's a trip.
So is Glitter Trip is your current band that you're in. Are you not putting your music up on TikTok? I thought that was a huge thing for like small bands to put their stuff up on TikTok.
Well, because we're just in a weird spot, because we're trying to, since we're a cover band, we just don't have any like a lot of good stuff of like what we sound like. So we do have 3 songs that we've recorded in a studio, and so those are out there, the one I sent you, and we don't have like a TikTok page or anything. We're kind of behind on the getting stuff up and running.
Well, it's hard because who's in charge of it? Right.
That's part of it. And we just haven't had to have a super need for it yet. Because we just, we do now. It's kind of funny. We're trying to actually like book a gig at like a real bar, and they're kind of like, where's all your stuff? So it's like, oh, but
you guys could take advantage of the opportunity of Universal Music Group pulling all their songs off of TikTok. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a large percent. What, 40% of the videos on TikTok have no sound on them right now?
Oh, really? Because that's interesting.
They lost, they couldn't agree on the license or whatever. So all the videos that people use Taylor Swift or the latest, Drake song or whatever, everything's pretty much muted because there's no audio to it.
So they could use ours instead?
They can use yours.
That would be, and talk about that Glenn Johns thing. How funny would it be if somebody was really trying to like some kid in college is doing research on Glenn Johns and he stumbles across us?
But that's the crazy thing I was telling you about is, so the clip that we had of Greg talking about the Glenn Johns recording method for drums, and we're talking a little bit about the Beatles, and that on YouTube had 1,000 views.
It's crazy.
And I said, Greg, that's just kind of, there are times in our own homes that nobody gives a shit what we have to say or what we think about things. Here's 1,000 strangers that care.
That also said that.
After,
1,000 people said
white people talking about, whatever. Yeah. Shut up.
Oh, yeah. 1,000 people went away going, oh, well, that's 5 minutes I'll never have back.
Yeah. Amanda's saying the TikTok is so stupid for this music issue. I think it'll get resolved.
Yeah.
There's just too much money involved, which I guess is the holdup. But
is that what it? I'm guessing they're so it's people, because anybody could use like somebody's song to make something. Is that essentially what?
Yeah, I mean, you have like a 1 minute. You can use 1 minute of their music if TikTok has the license for it.
Got it.
And you can use it as your background, or you can use it to do your little dance. I mean, all the stuff that you watch on TikTok, all the little girls doing their dance and everything.
Oh, that explains it. That's why they're all muted now.
Right. But so I think that'll get resolved pretty quick, because TikTok, the whole platform is essentially not really usable right now, because most of the content is muted. Yeah. And it's not just the songs. Even if you said something, the whole track is muted.
Oh, okay.
So they'll give you the opportunity to swap it out with something else, but then you lose anything that you've added to it. So then it doesn't make any sense anyways. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a cool site though. I mean, we use it for everything, seriously. I mean, we've found a lot of really good stuff on there for parenting tips, dad tips, like whatever. Like, I can't believe it. I actually last night was tuning my kick drum and I went on TikTok. I'm like, I'm gonna use TikTok, see what people are doing out there to get some ideas. And
they say, so for people like you and I who would go on Google to figure out how to tune up your kick drum or your hi-hat, whatever cymbal thing, the younger kids are going on TikTok and they're using that as their search engine.
It makes sense. Yeah. Rachel uses it all the time. I mean, everything she finds is on there. So she has, knows a lot about younger boys now and stuff, and young, handsome men.
Does she have a good following of like high school age boys that are hitting her up?
No, she's one of those people that just searches on it. She doesn't have a profile. What's the best cat dev tip you found there? I don't know if we have a best one. We've just been using it to like our cat. We have this worry that our kitten might have asthma. He's been doing this stuff. So she found a ton of videos of people going like, this is what asthma looks like. And we were like, oh, great. That's exactly what he sounds like. So there's some of that. When we got our new kitten in September, we were watching videos on just how to interact the two, when they first meet and stuff. So we got two bougie cats.
The one photo you sent me to use for like a thumbnail, it's like you sitting there with your cat.
Yep.
And I'm like, the fun thing is I can Photoshop the cat out sometimes and just have you doing certain things instead of the cat, which is helpful.
Yeah, they're my buddies. That's the big jokes. We fought to not have pets for so long, and then now we got two cats. We had one, and we got a second, and I'm like super close to both of them. My kids think it's funny. They're like, you didn't even want to get one.
It's almost like you can tell the lifestyle you lead by the For You page that's on TikTok, because I'm sure if you guys are looking up cat allergies or whatever, it's just all like cat stuff. Like right now, my For You page on TikTok are all like corgis looking cute and just doing stuff. And then I'll send 3 or 4 to Amy throughout the day. Yeah. And she's like, you got to stop sending me this. But then she actually likes it, So.
Yeah, we got a lot of cat stuff on there, but honestly, it's 90% Taylor Swift stuff, which is funny.
Well, so I called an emergency meeting of the minds today. One, I wanted to talk to you about our songs, the music that you had crafted for us. And I think I'm leaning towards having the rocker song. Let me play that real quick again. So I'm thinking of having this one be the intro. Hold on, here we go.
So funny.
Is it going again?
Get it out of my head last night either. I was laying in bed. Those were just...
There we go.
I like the way that sounds.
Because I sounds like a show. A high energy, and you're starting the show off.
I can take out some of the toss it up too. With little things like that. I feel like there's too many.
And then I can you again be my Glenn Johns. I can give you the dub over that I need to do. This is the Tossing
Yeah,
Salad podcast.
yeah.
Or does it have to be my voice? I don't mind if you kind of did something like that.
I like how you sound really good though. I really like how you sound on that.
My bass, my vibrato or something.
All you got to
My
do is
tenor.
you send that to me.
My
I can lay it
timbre.
right on timbre. I love it. Timbre.
And then I think we're going to use, I like this one here for my outro. Let's do this one here. I could be like, Greg, thanks for coming on the Tossing Salad podcast today. For everybody tuning in to the Tossing Salad podcast, we're on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Check out our clips, and we'll see you next week.
I like how that feels.
It just seems like an outro to me.
Yeah, I like that.
And then it kind of just fades out.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Does that one need to be longer?
I don't think so for the outro. I mean, most people by the time the interview is over or the meat and potatoes of the show is over, they're on to their next podcast or they're turning it off.
Okay. Because all those can be adjusted too. But that one I just faded out.
Yeah, so Amanda's real excited about having intro and outro or money.
Money.
So our show, our ideas and stuff. I keep, we talked about it on the last live. Like I struggle with, we have all these different things that we want to try to do. And I said, okay, we have 10 different ideas for the show and trying to find a show name and a show style and a vibe to fit all 10 things that we need to reduce that to like 5.
Yeah.
And then, we've come up with, well, maybe it can be like a beside the music, outside of the music, something that's kind of music related. And then again, I'm coming back today. I'm like going back to your newspaper news idea in a sense that if it's packaged that way,
right,
every segment is like its own individual show. So then that gives us the opportunity to, as the show's going on, we can have recurring segments. We want to have a new segment, outside access Hollywood, and that's where we bring in, bands or artists, stuff like that. And then we have like a sports section, a week or two if sports are hot that week.
Yeah.
And then maybe that gives us the ability to have different shows that are the segments that are packaged underneath this kind of news thing. So I'm just getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm with you because the other day started thinking, man, maybe we don't focus on music because there's other funny like I'm just think we just have to keep swirling a little bit until we really can because I'm with you. I think it needs to have a purpose and how do you market it? I totally agree with all of that stuff. But yeah, I just keep flopping on like the subject matter where, what could it be? To find a fun niche to it, like I was like thinking about how we interact and things, how we talk, and it's like, what should we focus on?
Yeah. And not to make it complicated, but even I can see having like the live is a different vibe to this.
Yeah.
And if you're having people that are showing up on the live and they have an input, they affect how the show kind of goes. I kind of see that as that could be a positive. It also could be a negative. And again, that's why there's a difference between live shows and having a closed off podcast. Also, because when you're kind of closed off, it's a deep dive, it's one-on-one, intimate, we're talking. It's a different feeling than being live and open and letting anybody in to see.
Yeah.
So whether or not we're one or the other, we incorporate one and sometimes the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking about too, that I'm not sold on or not fully is you've already got such a good thing going. Like, I'm just wondering if I'm just an added thing that you do, whether it's we do a live to talk about something from your show rather than having you have to have a whole nother show. You know what I mean? Like
That's another thing. I mean,
yeah,
that could also work to where you're a recurring
right
featured guest and we're doing stuff. It's almost like, with Amanda, sometimes she's been on several shows, whether it's a podcast or a live show, and we're doing just random things, having fun. And in the end, we're chopping it up no matter what and throwing it out there. And again, you're just having fun. So does that work also? That I don't know. But there's a little bit
something to think about.
So that's something to think about. But then there's also, you get the taste of this and you kind of want your own show.
Yeah.
Your own identity to something, build something up from the ground, from scratch. But
I think we can do it. I think we just have to, like you said, figure out how we want to go about it. And I don't think it's hit us just yet, like what the structure could be. I think we have a lot of really awesome ideas, and I'm still like layering stuff in there. I added some notes today in our little pad thing because I still think you are a really strong host. I still really like that as your role. When you had asked that last week, I was like, I think you have a great way of hosting. I think you'd be really solid at like as the questions and just bringing things up,
But it's something, if you're comparing, it's something that I've been doing for a year and you're just now getting started.
Right.
So I don't want to close things off, but I definitely, if it's one of those things to where you're like, I'd like to eventually do this or that. And maybe it's a soft thing to where, okay, maybe at the beginning I'm kind of holding up this part of things. And then we naturally just kind of, as you get comfortable with things. I'm down for pretty much however we can massage this.
Cause I feel like, you the other day I had an idea, and this could be terrible, so you'll have to tell me, but I almost thought it'd be fun to have like a spontaneous version of it, like how we have all these ideas and all those things we put, like we could talk about this. We talked about Halloween costumes, all the SNL skits, favorite bands, favorite out, I almost thought like I envisioned like a wheel or like a drawing,
right?
And be like, oh, okay, like it made me like Jimmy Fallon show made me think of it. Sometimes they do like a karaoke thing where like it spins like an artist, and then so I'm just almost like thought it could be fun to be like, okay, tonight's episode is okay, we're going with SNL skits, and then we and luckily you and I would have to like kind of be like, okay, here's all these subjects we have, let's make sure we know what we'd go into about those things. So, but something too about being like, here's what we're going to talk about. And then we could also try to come up with a name of like, this is what we do. It's kind of spontaneous, or it's like the wheel.
Kind of, I totally understand what you're saying there. I mean, it's the spontaneous combustion show,
where you're like, okay, we're going to go with funny Halloween stories, or, and then it's the stories, and then hopefully that gets you into something else. And maybe you can even have a guest and be like, all right, so what's your funny Halloween? I don't know if that would work, but that's another like thing I thought about the other day, is if there's a randomness to it a little bit, well,
the whole
it's not always the same subject.
Yeah, each one of the lives that we've had so far in the last week and a half have been very random and spur of the moment also.
That's true. Yeah.
And a lot of the content that we're pushing out for Tossing Salad have been cut from those lives.
Yeah.
That they weren't the primary reason why we were having a show, but like even today, I was able to post, I think, 2 or 3 bits on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think there was one on, okay, are the Chiefs more hated than the New England Patriots dynasty? That was one of them. That was a great kind of a clip that we had. And then right before this show, I uploaded one of like the perfect storm of trolls and haters. And then it's a picture of Taylor, Jackson Mahomes, and Brittany Mahomes.
Yeah.
And a little bit of what you and I had talked about on that. And that was a very random, spur of the moment conversation.
Yeah, that was good.
But I think it's good for clips. And so then I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of different ways we can go. And whether it's a separate show, whether it's a recurring feature on the Tossing Salad, I could be convinced into going every which way. I'm having a blast doing this.
Yeah. It could be even we still could have a title, a name, even if we wanted to focus it around music, but we could still do the newspaper thing somehow where it's like, maybe that's where it's like, okay, today's, this is, okay, we're going with, current affairs, or like, that could be like, maybe our show has that segment in it each week of like, okay, this week's segment is favorite Halloween costume, or, or
something
first time
topical.
you heard, or something something. It could be like a part of like where the show might have a purpose, but the first 15 minutes is like, I mean, that's what New Heights does a little bit, right? Like they go over the games, they have the meat of the show is them going over the games, but the first 15 minutes they talk about like new things that have happened in the world or whatever, and then sometimes they get into. So it's like maybe it's a little bit like what I'm thinking, that like how they do it.
And I have envisioned that as well. The problem, and I've talked to a couple other podcast creators on something like that, those shows can do that because people know and care about Jason and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, they're coming in for content.
So whatever they talk about within those 15 minutes, that works.
Yeah.
The same with, Howard Stern. Howard and Robin can do that their first 15, 20 minutes of a show because people are curious what Howard and Robin think.
Are they gonna,
You and I, that's nobody knows who we are, cares what we think. And then if it's random, how do you get somebody to stop to listen to this? Because if you don't care who these people are, how do you get that to work?
Yeah, that's true. That's where the lives are kind of fun for that.
Amanda says, I like the spin the wheel idea, and you could have 10 topics ready to go and you don't know which one you're going to talk about. And because you already know the 10, you could have any prep work done and just ready no matter what the wheel lands on, which is funny because Amanda talking about prep work, and she knows that I do very little prep, which on our live last night, she did all the prep on her end. And I was like trying to come up with people she could do from the booklet I had. She's like, did you not plan this out or look at it beforehand? I was like, no, I just opened it up. And then she says, for instance, if Halloween costumes is one of your 10 topics, you would have a folder on your desktop with your past Halloween costume pictures in there that you could show, which is funny, Amanda, because Greg has talked about a certain Halloween party and some pictures that he may have, and I know I may have.
Oh, yeah.
And her last comment, which I think Amanda's driving. She's like hauling kids somewhere, so I don't know how she's typing all this. Can you tell I'm interviewing for the producer position?
I love it. We need a good producer.
And Amanda could be a very good producer and a recurring personality too. Like I can totally see her idea last night in our live. She had mentioned before that I needed to play that Who Do You Do game with you. And so it got me kind of thinking today. I was randomly getting stuff done around the house, and then I was like, maybe I could have Amanda come on and we do a 3-way with us, but have her be the game show person and have her ask me and you.
Yeah. What is the question?
What's the game?
Yeah.
Well, it was random match pairings of guys and girls. So like,
okay.
So like, just for example, like for her last night, I think we had like Boy George or Pee Wee Herman. I'm reading from the thing here. And this is from a 2002 game. So if people are like, well, Boy George or Pee Wee Herman, that's not relevant. Well, it's because this is a 20-year-old game.
Yeah, I love it though.
Dana Carvey or Martin Short.
You have to do one of them?
You have to do one of them.
Like their voice? Or do them?
No, like have sex with them.
Okay. All right. That's amazing.
So like last night she gave me like, and she came up with her own, and she gave me like Paula Deen and Ina Garden or something. And she had made these little graphics with their
Oh, I
names
love
on it.
it. It's like Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which
Oh.
we play a lot. Like it's like my wife's favorite thing when she's with her friends. They always end up like, you know.
Amanda, here's if Amanda's still here. If not, I'm going to pitch this to her. Let's do FMK, have Amanda be the host, and she's got to give us the 3 options that we have to. It's fuck, marry, or kill.
Sorry,
oh boy,
sorry
about that. Yeah, if you're driving, Amanda, I'm sorry. If you have the kids in the car, I wouldn't even think about that. That would be fun. I could do that with you.
That would be fun. My best ideas still come in the middle of the night.
I'll lay there. I mean, because I'm awake in the middle of the night and I can't get back to bed, or I just have a hard time sleeping. That's when I'm most creative.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to roll over and write stuff down or whatever. But I try to remember the next day.
One of those cool watches where you can be like, talk to Greg tomorrow.
Supposedly
about FMK. FMK.
But I like the FMK idea because it's slightly different from what Amanda and I did. And I think that'll be kind of neat. And it can be under the thing to where she's making sure that we're a good match to potentially have a show.
That's right. I like the Dear Abby angle too.
How so?
Just the thought of like giving advice. I think it'd be funny. What if we read old Dear Abby questions from like the 70s, and then we had to but we came up with like the answer,
like current stuff, or like
hey, my mom blah blah blah, or my wife does this, like, what could you help with? Like we create our own answer, but it's a real question.
I think that would be a fun segment every now and then. I mean, definitely put that in our little note thing as far as a future segment, because those things I've seen on TikTok they'll have those old like 50s videos.
Yeah.
About like a mom wanting to talk to her son about being a teenager and having wet dreams or something. Amanda's saying earmuffs. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's funny. I like that. The thought of it's almost like the ladies' man, just feel, but like old Dear Abby questions, like, how come I get my husband to clean the house?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I love that idea. So make sure, like, if you remember, put that on our notes, because we got to do that somehow. I think that'll be fun. So, other than that, I don't know. Like, I feel like we have the time. Like, I don't feel rushed, but then there's a part of me that just wants to kind of dive in.
Right.
And then how do we lay the foundation to where, okay, if it's going to be a new show, then there's going to be a whole bunch of the foundation we're going to have to get set up in addition to a name.
Right.
But then where's all the stuff going to be kind of hosted? All the stuff that you guys go through with your band as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doing that all over again and building up from scratch.
Yeah.
Well, have you thought about, the whole 6 months to live idea? Like, what would be a good
to get
cutoff for you to where we have to reevaluate? Like, we have to sit down and say, okay, after X amount of shows or X amount of time, have you thought of that?
No, probably shows. I feel like if we, I think once we get like an idea, I think we have to get to a point where like, okay, let's make a pilot. This is our pilot. Like, I think about like a series. Maybe we do it like how streaming does it. We have a pilot and we're like, all right, we're going to try 6 shows, and then kind of see if we can figure it out. And then does it make sense to, do we get a second season?
Well, and I think that does work. Like your pilot season, and it's 6 episodes, as opposed to like when the Brian and Chelsea show was on, and I had initially said 24.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, I can easily make 24 episodes, but then you could get into a point to where if you're not producing your episodes and you're not getting them out, you're going to have those awkward conversations anyways, because you could be stuck at 8
Yeah.
and you haven't put anything out in 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I think the yeah, if they're anything like my kids, they're not listening to anything.
yeah, they don't care
Yeah.
what you're listening to.
We usually have like a serious conversation in the car. I'm like, what do you guys think? And they'll be like, what? Oh, I have my AirPods on. What were you saying?
AirPods, their beats are on.
Yeah. Yeah. But then my kid will like, hear what he's not supposed to hear. What do you mean we're not going there? Like, how'd you hear that? Like, yeah, I think it's the key is getting some direction and a title and all of that, and then yeah, think about doing like 6 shows or something, see how it goes. Because then I think you can reevaluate. I think it'll be more like, okay, what's working, what's not, or like what do we, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah, and whether it works and I don't watch the Daily Show, but I think it's possible because you had mentioned today that if it's a recurring segment on the Tossing Salad podcast, let's just say until we get to the point to where we've crafted enough to where we know it's a show, and you're just that featured comedian that's on every week, and we're running through things.
Yeah.
So like that can work also.
Like when you guys did the fitted sheet, like I could come on with like a sheet over my head. No, that probably wouldn't be very good.
What is your show frequency? What does that mean?
I think she was asking I think we had thought about weekly.
Oh,
trying to potentially. I mean, if we could.
Yeah, it has to be weekly. I struggle with that with Tossing Salad. I am totally on almost every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's hard finding the interviews, and then you got to go cut it up. And for me, it's just like I could probably do it, but like our episode, we recorded that weeks ago, and there's still fresh content I could still chop up from just the podcast episode. But then now all of a sudden I'm distracted with the lives you and I have done, the lives I've done with Amanda, and I'm just not efficient enough to do all that stuff really quickly.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think you want the content out there weekly, but yeah, that would be hard to I don't know.
The only other question I had for you is if you had any interest in the editing, like just to get an idea of what it's like or something. I've been playing around on StreamYard with their built-in editor, and don't feel like I'm inviting you to play around with it.
Okay.
They've got a really basic editor that it took me an hour or so to kind of figure out, not an hour, not really that long, how to make some clips. So the last, I would say 5 clips I've made and posted have come out of StreamYard.
Okay.
The nice thing about that is all the videos already there. And it's easy to say, okay, well, I want to do the 1-minute vertical clips, or I want to do a horizontal clip for YouTube. So you pick that initially, but then you can go through and you basically decide what that 1-minute clip is, and you kind of chop up that particular section.
That's cool.
It doesn't let you move the sections around. Like when I edit in Final Cut the podcast, I can move certain things because I want a certain hook to be at the front and repeat. But it's a very basic thing, and I'm kind of like, it makes it really easy. Okay. And I'm just curious, like, if you were to go through the same live that I do, like, certain things will stick out for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I would love to learn it. Yeah, that's something I do. Like I said, I have very, very little experience messing with anything like editing clips and stuff. So it'd be fun to learn for sure.
I think it'd be interesting for you, and then you can at least find out if that's something you'd like to do or like to learn how to do more of. So we can kind of figure out a way to. I think they give you 1 or 2 co-producers you can add to your account. So I'll have to look into that to see how to do that, and I can add you, and then you can go in, and like for this particular live episode, you can be the one that goes through and just make whatever clips. So you're gonna come out of this and remember certain things we've talked about that are gonna be different from me.
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
So
yeah, dude.
Might be interesting for you.
Hell yeah.
Just to get a feel for it. So, well, that's all I had. You had any other things you wanted to update me on, or?
I don't think so. Ready for the weekend? It's weekend time.
You guys, well, it's not a Super Bowl weekend, so what are you guys doing this weekend?
Just chilling. I got band practice on Sunday, so that'll be fun. A little rehearsal.
This is with
Glitter Trip.
Glitter Trip. Where do you guys go for that?
One of the guys has a nice house with a studio like bigger than mine. It's like his whole basement, so it's pretty sweet little setup. So it's in St. Paul, not far from where I'm at.
But it's a guy that has to have a drum set, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he actually has a pretty decent set at his house, so I've gotten comfortable playing that. It's almost the same kind of setup I have. It's a little different, but I've gotten comfortable playing other people's stuff.
Is that a standard? I didn't even think about that, but is like what you have behind you, is that a standard drum set? That
yeah, kind of. I mean, it's pretty different. I mean, there's everything drummers have there's not like a standard pieces, right? Like, and drummers are weird because they like things in certain spots. Like you'll see drummers move things like, even just a half inch one way or the other is like, oh, that's so much better. Like,
well, but how does that has to mess you up when you guys are you practice at home and then you go practice at where your band's going to practice at. And then when you guys go to a show, it has to be different.
I use, all of this stuff is pretty standard. Like he has this more or less the same setup, which was kind of nice. So his setup is close to mine. So when I play on mine and play on his, it's not too different. It's just getting comfortable. Like his pieces are like some of my, it's like my set's probably a little nicer. So it's like, that's actually helped me. When I was a younger drummer, I struggled with that. I was really thrown off by other people's equipment.
Right.
So it's actually kind of taught me to be a little bit better, to be able to play on multiple things. Like I can do that now and I don't freak out about it as much.
I mean, I guess you can't really rely too much on muscle memory or do people lay it out kind of the same, but it's just a couple inches here and there, or you're really kind of thinking as you're going, you're like, oh shit, the cymbals are over here, but his kick drum is over on this side. I
think it's more, it like I said, it used to really throw me off a long time, like 10 years ago. Like when I first started 6 Months to Live, I think the first 2 years we did 6 Months to Live that I was in, it was somebody else's drums. And so, and I was really, it really ate me up. Like I was just focused on like, oh, I don't like this kit, Then as I got like experience and just learned, like, as long as you're good at what you're doing, like you'll be okay. Like the more you know the song, don't worry about where the stuff's at. But yeah, you'll find that like, because the drummers, where their stool sits up and down or where it's back or close to the kit, some drummers play far away, I play up close. Like there's a million setups. And so it can be very, sitting at somebody else's drum set. It's like when you sit in somebody's car and you're like, dude, this is how you drive. Like,
right.
Like that's what I always, that's the analogy.
It's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah. Because you get in, you know what you're doing, but you're like, dude, I can't even touch the pedal. Like, or like, you're like, how do you drive so close? Like, And
then you start driving, it starts raining, and you're like, well, where are the fucking wipers?
Yeah.
And then you're turning the blinkers on, and then the wiper in the back's going on.
Yep. Yeah, it's very much like that. Everything's there. It's just not in the same spots. And so, drummers are a little picky when it comes to that stuff and play what, cymbals are different, the drum heads are different. So there's a feel to stuff too. There's a way you hit the, all of it's a little different. I've just gotten I've been playing at his house now for, it's been 4 years. So I'm just comfortable now. I mean, I finally just got really comfortable. And like I said, our two kits are really similar. I actually set his up. I moved stuff around over there. And so it's very much like playing this one. So that helps a lot.
Right. All right. Well, I think this is a good live to end on. A good song. This is, I have the feeling that this is my outro. So when the show's over, Greg, it's nice having you on again on Spur of the Moment. We're going to say this is Friday night. Just in case. And we'll see you guys next week.